Hello, I'm Marcy Bridges with the Office of Special Education and Early Learning. Welcome to the first presentation of our new series on Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. In this presentation, we will discuss an overview of UDL and how it can be applied to the classroom. Universal Design for Learning, UDL, is an educational practice that works in unison with differentiated instruction. According to the National Center on Universal Design for Learning, UDL is a set of principles for curriculum development that gives all individuals equal opportunities to learn. UDL utilizes a specific set of guidelines based on engagement, the why of learning, representation, the what of learning, and action and engagement, the how of learning. Universal Design for Learning gained its inspiration from another theme, which is universal design for living. As the population collectively grows older and medical advancements allow those with disabilities to live healthier and more full lives, architects were faced with the need to make buildings and other structures more accessible. This photo shows a retrofitted ramp, which allows anyone with mobility impairments access to this building. Other examples include a door lever rather than a doorknob and automatic doors. This image shows an example of some misconceptions about universal design and how it is not being utilized. While it is clear some thought went into the design of these spaces, it may have been an afterthought. Yes, the spots are close to the door, and there is ample space provided for mobility devices and lifts, but there's no way someone in a wheelchair could actually get to the door. Even if that is a ramp, it is very steep and would be difficult for someone in a manual wheelchair to navigate. There is also not much room on the platform to allow for a chair or stroller to be turned or manipulated. They would still have to somehow open the door and hold it while they get their device into the building. Principles of universal design would require that these parking spots and access to the building were thought of during the design phase, with every possible user in mind. The curb cut effect describes how addressing exclusions for one group of people can create an environment that enables everyone to contribute equally. Look at the sketch. The curb cutout is not only for the person in the wheelchair, but also for the family with a stroller, the young person with a skateboard, or someone who has a wheeling suitcase or a cart. UDL works in much the same way. Planning for those who need accommodations or special instruction can help everyone. It's true that UDL and differentiated instruction, or DI, share a lot of similarities. However, there are some marked differences. Remember that UDL is meant to be truly inclusive. It is for the whole group, whereas DI is for a select group of students. In a lesson using UDL, you plan the lesson already anticipating what each student will need. With DI, you modify the approach, the materials, etc., in response to each student's needs or preferences. We can also think of it this way. With UDL, you are fixing the lesson, whereas with DI, you're fixing the instruction. Let's take a deeper look into the difference between UDL and differentiated instruction. While it is true that they have a few similarities, there are some very important differences. DI is usually done after data is collected and trends are noticed, while UDL is used to design flexible goals, methods, materials, and assessments from the beginning. Another difference is that DI provides strategies that are teacher-directed, as teachers choose which strategies are used. UDL encourages students to self-differentiate and choose their own path. Research supports using UDL as it can benefit all students, including diverse learners. For example, students with unique learning styles, students with disabilities, or English learners. Some benefits include that UDL is learner-focused. It provides students with multiple and flexible means and methods of engagement, expression, and presentation. UDL encourages teaching in ways that adapt to the learner, instead of asking the learner to adapt to the teaching. Access to the curriculum. UDL makes learning more accessible in general education classes, which is where most students with disabilities spend a large portion of their day. UDL also encourages strengths-based adaptable learning. It encourages planning that considers students' strengths to help them learn, as opposed to focusing on what students can't do. It incorporates assistive technology and supplemental aids and services from the beginning, not as an afterthought. UDL also reduces stigma and the my kids, your kids mentality. As differentiation is built into the design and planning, it does not single out the few who receive formal accommodations as part of their IEP, their PSP, or their 504 plan. For a moment, let's talk about equal versus fair. Are they the same? Equal means everyone gets the same thing. Fair means everyone gets what they need to be successful. If things are equal, that does not necessarily translate to them being fair. With UDL, fairness is built in. It is part of the process from the start, and it removes the barriers surrounding our students. Most teachers are already using aspects of UDL by providing choice for students, but UDL goes beyond that. Remember, the goal is to remove the barriers surrounding students. For example, you can use captions. Use Zoom or Google Slides with transcription enabled. This can help students who are English learners, deaf or hard of hearing, students who have executive function issues, or just prefer to use captions. Turn on captions when showing a video. Also plan for differences. No two people see, hear, or process things in the same way. Sometimes a single person can view things differently from day to day. For example, if you don't sleep well or you have a headache. Use alt text and verbal descriptions when showing photos or illustrations. Be mindful of color and use a color contrast tester to be sure the contrast is strong. Here at KDE, most of us use Color Contrast Analyzer, which is out of the United Kingdom. Think about the fonts you're using. Let's look at these examples I have here. The first one is Times New Roman, while the second is Franklin Gothic Body. Take a moment to try to identify the difference. The little tags on the ends of letters make it hard for a screen reader to read these words correctly. Times New Roman is not accessible. Next, we're going to watch a video that shows how UDL can look in the classroom. Please look for instances of UDL as we watch.
Okay, class. Hi. Welcome back to science. It's so good to see all of you again today.
Oh,
Hi.
hi, Dr.
Hello.
Ackerman. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And to you too. So today, we're going to kind of wrap up the first part of our unit on cell function and structure. And we're going to be completing a choice board activity based on what you discovered yesterday and what we've learned up to this point. So our I can statement that we have is I can identify organelles and their function in a cell. So thinking back to what we did yesterday, that experiment we did yesterday where we were looking at animal cells and plant cells using a microscope, what were some of those observations that you made? You recorded on your tablets?
Oh, I know one. That we saw that the plant cell was more square, like a box.
Mhm. Absolutely, good. The plant cell had more structure. What else?
I remember that the plant cell was also kind of green, and I try to remember that that's the one that was greenish in color.
Yep, the plant cell did have that greenish tint to it. Very good. Good observation. Any other observations?
I remember that the animal cell was kind of not like a box. It was kind of like blobby and like not a square.
That's right. You're always very descriptive, Ethan. Yeah, it kind of like didn't have that
Thanks.
sort of same sort of structure that that the plant cell had. Very good. So we've seen what cells look like, and I just want to quickly summarize for you. You guys can follow along on your tablet. Remember, we are in the folder that's labeled plant cell and animal cell. Okay. So if you'll get into that folder on your tablet, and just quickly find that folder for me. So we know that plant cells have a little bit more structure. You all said that. And that the animal cells were, I guess we sort of described it as more freeform. We also know that the cells are the basic unit of all living things, and that every living thing is made up of cells. And within each cell are little components called organelles that each have their own function. So one of those organelles caused the plant cell to have a greenish tint. Does anybody remember what the name of that organelle was?
Oh gosh. It was like chlorus something.
It was chlorus something. So if you'll look on your tablets for me, guys, in the plant cell labeling, you'll see the chloroplast. Oops, I just touched it. Hold on a second. Let me go back to it. There we go. Chloroplast right here. So chloroplast.
Oh yeah.
Has the chlorophyll in it, right? So that made it have that greenish tint. That's one of the organelles. We discussed several of these organelles in depth, and one of those was the nucleus. Can anybody remind me what the function of the nucleus is?
The nucleus is like it's like the boss, like it regulates everything.
It is
like
the boss. It regulates
the boss
everything.
of the cell.
Great.
Of the cell.
Right. Any other observations or anybody else remember or have anything in your notes about the nucleus?
Wait, let me look. I had something. It's it has DNA in it.
That's right. It contains the DNA of the cell. Absolutely. Very good. And one of you said yesterday, hey, it's like the.
Oh, that was me. That was me. It's like the brain. It's like our brain.
It's like the brain of the cell. Very good. So Ava said it's like the boss. Ethan said it's like the brain. So it does. It kind of regulates all the cell activities. We also talked about cell wall, cell membrane, mitochondria. Do you remember what the mitochondria?
Mitochondria. Let me think. Oh, that's the powerhouse, like the big
That's
power.
great, Dev. Absolutely. That's the powerhouse of the cell. So today we are going to work either in groups or independently. You can make a choice to complete the assessment activity, which is a choice board. Okay, so I'm going to show you the choice board. You also have this on your tablet. So on this choice board, what you're going to be doing is selecting something from either one of the two items from the first row or one of the two items from the bottom row. So you'll end up doing two different activities. Okay, one from the first row,
okay.
One from the bottom row. Any questions before we start?
I don't think so, but I like these cells. They're cool.
They really are kind of cool. It's kind of fun to learn about them. All right, you guys can get started and I will come around and check your work.
Choice is a great step in using UDL. In the video we just watched, the teacher models several UDL strategies, including hands-on, when the teacher mentions the previous day's activity, using an I can statement to let the students know what to expect for the day, showing of visuals on the tablet, using a gesture as a prompt to remind the student what was said yesterday, using wait time throughout the lesson, reviewing and summarizing of plant and animal cells, and telling the students, I will come around and check your work. The teacher was also very explicit of the UDL strategy of choice, giving 3 choices toward the end. She allowed the students to work alone or in groups, to choose which activity they wanted to complete, and to complete the activity with paper, pencil, or with their tablets. This slide and video are for you to take action on your own. The first video is of a math lesson, and it can be accessible and how it can be accessible for all students. The second shows how UDL looks in a self-contained setting. As you watch, please think about the strategies already in use in your classroom. For example, did you find any real-world applications? Did the teacher provide the students with an opportunity to provide input? Was there varying difficulty? Did the teacher provide prompt and frequent feedback? What new strategy can you add to your classroom? In our next video of the series, we will begin a deep dive into the 3 principles of UDL: engagement, representation, and action and expression. Specifically, we will look at engagement, which is how we stimulate interest for the learners to connect with their lesson. This slide provides additional resources to help you gain understanding of UDL. For any questions, please contact me, Marcy Bridges. I can be reached at 502-564-4970, extension 4143, or by email at marcy.bridges@education.ky.gov. Thank you for watching this presentation on UDL 101, Overview and Classroom Application.